watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Back to Vitriol. He'll take a shot and he'll bear it! And then he'll fire it from Billows and it'll go in! One-on-one with Kudret. She'll put it off the post, saved by Kudret. Cut back from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! And that's going to be fired. Milano with a dot. She keeps fighting, looking for goal number 2. Cuts it inside, shot, and that goes in. Good work is this one by Henry. Oh, good save by Jasinski. Dot 280, that's missed. Oh, it's Stone! And the ball, and both goals so far. Will fire one, and that's a wonderful save. Buddy puts it back for Al Jazeer, beaten, and he'll bury it. Going. He'll fire one now from distance, and that is in. What a strike by Ben Maher. This is high kick, but they're going to keep playing. Kim has it now. Johnson with a shot, and that's in!
Welcome to Michigan Stars Elite Podcast, Episode 2, provided by Michigan Soccer Network. Today's topic is Michigan Stars Elite, your new destination. We are going to talk about tryouts, open houses. We're talking about decision-making time for the new season. It's June madness, so to speak. We are all a little bit on edge. We have club administrators, coaches, parents, team manager, all feeling a little bit under the gun. Within a couple weeks, all our clubs are empty. Basically, we're out of the season, and we have no longer any players in our team rosters. So take that for a moment in. As you talk about anxiety, we have it as well on our end. I am sitting here with Coach Sarge, who is our academy director. And I also have Candace Messing, a team parent from 2 players that are playing at our platforms at Michigan Stars Elite. Together, we will discuss and handle the different pieces that come with decision making for your son, your daughter, and to provide the best context, how you can make your best decisions. So I would hope that this would be a very valuable time for you, that we are providing you some context to make better decisions, to give more insight in what it will take to make the best decisions for your son and daughter. In the end, this is also an opportunity, and I want you to change the narrative from anxiety to ultimately opportunity and reassessment of commitment that you've made. So it is imperative that you're going to talk about your son and daughter and sit around the table about what their goals are. And together we will find the best position and the best team out there for success that will help you to accomplish the goals for your son and daughter and your family, quite honestly. we are heading into a commercial. When you come back, we're going to start the conversation about tryouts, open house, and what you can do to provide the best support for your child.
Are you looking to grow here in 2023? Let the Michigan Soccer Network help you and your restaurant fill more seats. Help you and your law firm get new clients. Help you and your dental practice find more patients. Find more roofing customers for this upcoming summer. And to help you and your medical practice find new patients. To learn more or get started, visit MichiganSoccerNetwork.com. Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in! Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Base Camp Fitness Troy, opening up this March, will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn, all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founders rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Base Camp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan. Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75. Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
And welcome back to Michigan Stars Elite Podcast, sponsored and provided by Michigan Soccer Network. We're talking tryouts, and I have Coach Sarge here, our academy director, as well as Candace Messing, a parent and team parent of our club. And I would like to just kind of dig in right away. Candace, can you give me a little bit background of your family situation, your sons and playing, and then kind of talk about the tryout process that you've experienced at Michigan Stars Elite?
Yeah, absolutely. So Candace Messing, I am the parent of 3 children, ages 13, 14, and 9. And both my boys play competitively in the Michigan Stars Elite platform. And the experience for us as far as tryouts, I think, is always a nerve-wracking one. I think the topic of this podcast is great because I think a lot of people are coming into this time of year with a lot of just anxiety and opportunity and excitement. And so our experience has been varying over the years. I think it greatly changes based on where your child is and what their goals are for the upcoming year. But in the last couple of years with the addition of the Michigan Stars Elite platform, I think it has certainly been there's been more to tackle just in terms of preparing your children and preparing yourself, quite frankly, to make sure that you're being the best advocate for your child, not putting your own, views and thoughts into that piece. And it's been a really overall positive experience for us. And a lot of the fears I think that we had going into it are things that once you understand how the process really works and how to best support your child, we've been able to navigate, and we're really happy where things have worked out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Sarge, you, from a coaching perspective, Michigan Stars Elite came into works 2 years ago, tryouts coming up. How has that experience been on your end?
Well, it's been very different, I would say so, from doing tryouts with just, Michigan Lightning to tryouts with Michigan Stars. So the biggest one for us is the fact that we've gone from, a player pool of 20, 30, 40 kids at an age group to 50, 60, 70, where you have to, we're running tryouts for elite team, plus we're running tryouts for Lightning, plus we're running tryouts for Revolution all at the same time with multiple fields running. So challenge has been, make sure that we can see every kid, evaluate every kid, make sure people end up in the right place that, is competitive for that child, or there's obviously a ton of other things that come in terms of family commitments, travel commitments, financial commitments. So the challenge is always to get people where they need to be. That's going to be obviously the best for the kid, the best for the family, and all that type of stuff. So,
and that's perfect to continue with what I talk is kind of change the narrative and see tryouts as an opportunity as well, because in the end, we're trying to do from a coach's perspective, from a club perspective, it's all about the child and making sure that we can make that a successful experience, right? And that's what parents look for. That's what we as coaches look for as well. We are in sync with each other there. Although it seems often that we're not in tryouts time, right? There's this wall of it's not fair, or you don't understand, you haven't looked at my child. Some of these things come into play. From a tryout perspective, and a coach that runs tryouts, what are some of the things that you look for in players?
If we're talking about what we're looking for in players, I think it obviously varies on the age group. I've got teams from 9 years old to 13 years old to college kids. But in terms of the younger guys, a lot of it is just looking for the enthusiasm, the love for the game, the kid being engaged whenever you say something. Obviously, some people not necessarily want the kids out of the house, but they want to get them into something competitive pretty early on and get moving. And some of the kids just aren't ready, so you're just looking for, those kids being engaged, those kids loving the game, those kids sometimes athleticism, just so, they're busy on the field. And then once you start getting older, you start looking for the technical side of the game to start applying a little bit more. You start looking for the tactical stuff once you get into, 14s, 13s, maybe the high school ages. So, I mean, from top to bottom, it completely varies. But I guess on the age group that I'm coaching right now with the 13, 14-year-old boys, you're looking for a deeper understanding of just individual roles. Obviously, they're not going to be perfect. Even the college kids they're not perfect yet. But a deeper understanding of the tactical roles, their own role individually, the technical concepts, and the starting to get into that team spirit type of thing where, they get to that age where they're going through a ton of stuff and they start going either way if they want to, be a real leader or if they want to, follow a little bit. So you're kind of looking for a broad spectrum. But overall, I'm looking for a ton of things, but the biggest thing for me is just the enthusiasm, the love for the game, especially over here in America right now.
Yeah, very good, very good. And Candice, as you gearing up for another round of tryouts, where do you feel your head is? With the things now, 2 years at Michigan Stars Elite, there's obviously some more information than you had 2 years ago when you came as a new parent in the club. What are some of the thoughts you have right now as you prepare your children? What has the experience been at Michigan Stars Elite over the last 2 years, and what prompts you to bring your children back to the club? And that is assuming that is going to happen, right? And if not, why not? That is a fair question, quite honestly.
Yeah, so this year, is a little bit easier, right? As far as where we are, I think it changes completely based on your children's goals and their experience, right? And how tryouts are going to affect you each year. And so this year it's a little bit, it's better because both of my children have found teams that they're really excited to be part of. And I think they want to continue, right? Like at that level, right? Every child, don't get me wrong, in these platforms obviously is hoping that somebody sees something really special in them, and and they get an opportunity to maybe showcase that in a different platform. But for the most part, my children are really happy with the teams that they're on, and they're really excited at the level of play that they're being offered. So this year is more about hoping that can continue, right? 2 years ago, I had a very different experience. I have two boys that are 13 months apart. So they actually, when we came to the club, they always played on the same team. You want to talk about time commitments and how you stretch yourselves, right? It always made sense for us to my 09 to play up. So when the academy tryouts came and he decided to try out for the 09, when the elite teams came to be, and he wanted to try out as a separate 09 instead of in the 08 platform because he thought it gave him better opportunity, that was something that was really hard for us. And I was jokingly telling some people this earlier, like literally when he got offered the opportunity on the team, I was on the sidelines trying to talk him out of it. And so this is kind of where I say, be careful, like you don't put your own things on your child. And I wasn't doing that for my own purposes as much as trying to just understand what our family could take on, right? And you don't want to make any kind of a commitment to a club or put your child in a position of something that we can't follow up on. Right. And so I just wanted to make sure we had the bandwidth to make sure we could support him in the decision that he was making. Turned out being the best decision that we made. I mean, he's completely fallen in love back again with the sport. Right. And it's provided a level of playing and platform and coaching and things that we hadn't really even hoped for. Right. So it's been really, really positive. And my other son plays on one of the elite teams, and he's kind of made the transition to keeper, and that's been really positive and supportive. So that was really hard for us, though, trying to understand how that was all going to play out. So different experience this year, but very, very positive.
And it's great to hear you mention, the family dynamics, because we have to recognize that if you have, multiple children, multiple sports, maybe even that you're dealing with, that conversation has to take place. That is the kitchen and the dinner table conversation that should take place about commitment, about finances, about the what does it really do to a family? Because yes, there is an impact, right? I've raised two children that both played soccer, and they are 3.5 years apart, so a little bit more spread out as well. But it was navigating schedules and making sure we communicate extremely well. So it's a very good point, and I think any advice that we can offer there is make sure that you have those conversations between families, parents, because you do need to be on the same page, and that is nothing to do with our club, but has everything to do with life and families. So with that, we go into a commercial break. We will be back to continue our conversation.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
Their first uniform, their first number, their first teammate, their first goal, their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at kickstarttoddlersoccer.com.
Our mission is to help players take their game to the next level and reach their potential. Not only do we help develop fundamental technical skills such as ball control in tight spaces with different surfaces, dribbling at speed and changing direction, using a variety of 1v1 skills to create space, receiving on a half turn, hook turn, and out of the air, finishing off the dribbling, one-touch, volleys, and headers. We help players get comfortable performing these skills at game speed with pressure and with both their dominant and non-dominant foot. In addition, we help players with their speed of play, awareness of space, defenders and teammates, and also dominate with their off-the-ball movement. We offer a variety of services such as one-on-ones, small groups, large groups, as well as team sessions. We have an experienced coaching staff that is professional, friendly, patient, while still holding players to high standards and holding them accountable. No matter what level you're at as a player, I'm confident we can help you get better. Over the past 3 years, we've built one of the best soccer-specific training facilities in the country and developed one of the most detail-oriented programs to help out players.
And we are back at Michigan Stars Elite Podcast, provided by Michigan Soccer Network. We continue our conversation about Michigan Stars Elite, the club, the new destination for you and your family. I'm sitting here with Coach Sarge, our director of academy director, and I have Candace here, a parent and team manager for the club. Sarge, to kind of continue the conversation, talking about the programming that we have and the different levels that we represent. Can you give a little bit of an indication on where we focus on as a club, on the players and the different teams levels?
Sure. In terms of, well, if we look at the club as a whole, we kind of break it down into three. So that 6 to 10 age group, that 11 to 14 age group, and then the high school group moving forward. Kind of following the platforms a little bit, or the format, so 7v7, 9v9, and early 11v11, and then into competitive 11v11. So kind of where we focus at the youngest age group is purely more about just technique, trying to get all the basics, a quality foundation for the next levels to start to build on. So 6, 7, 8, 9, they're looking at a ton of first touches, ton of skills, ton of moves, ton of passing stuff, trying to hone in and kind of get everything moving right technically and body mechanics. So once you step into that next one, well, that's kind of what we call the learning development. And then once we step into the second one, where we go 9v9 into the early 11, we start looking at a little bit more development, where we're trying to turn that technique into skill. So situations on the field, what we should be doing, decision making, turning those moves into something that actually makes sense on the field. I've got a bunch of little guys that we talk about scissors and stuff, and they do them in random spaces rather than actually against the player and when it makes sense. So we start to apply it to the actual game once we get into 9v9, the early years, 11v11, and then that oldest age group, those U15 and up, they're now more the competitive stage. So they're starting to look to try and win games, competing to win it, setting up tactically to win a game rather than, go and express themselves or try certain things. So,
yeah, very good. And so in short, for us, it's technique into skill, into strategy. That's kind of the line that we carry through Michigan Revolution, Rochester Lightning, and then ultimately when they come into Michigan Stars Elite, they are, that U11, U12 platform where we know that there should be a base of technique training, and then ultimately our role is to continue to give them more understanding where to use it. One of the big things that I want to add to what Sarge just mentioned is the need for confidence building, right? For confidence. So we want to create, in the end, when they leave the platform, when they're ready to go into the world. Yes, we would love to see all college players coming through, and they all came through our platforms, meaning every player has an opportunity. But we know that's not always there, and not in everybody's interest, because they don't want to all play college soccer. But what we can do and should do and feel strongly we are doing is to provide them a platform to be successful, to know what it takes to be successful, to find creativity and confidence to go into the world that is opening up for them. So that's one of our big roles.
Can I just
go ahead?
Yeah, jump back in. I think the confidence comes from the youngest ages and trying to encourage them to take as many risks as they can, knowing that it's not going to bother me whatsoever as a coach if a kid does a scissors and falls flat on the face. We're going to see if they can go again and do it again and see if they can and get it right next time. So that, I think, carries on into the 9v9, the early 11v11. It just hones a little bit on, hey, now we think about where and when we do this stuff compared to, if we're in our own box, we're 1-0 up at the last minute of a game and you're trying to beat a forward, then it's an issue. But, the younger stages is trying to build confidence, like you said, take a bunch of risks, and then we move into that next one of where and when do we do that type of stuff. And then, obviously, the competition phase is just not all about winning, but strategy and tactically, just to try and figure out how we're going to get a 1-0 win, or we're going to dominate the game, or whatever the situation needs.
Yeah. I mean, winning obviously becomes more important. Throughout all pieces, we never send teams out not to win. Let's make that very clear. We all want them to be competitive. So learning how to compete is also part of the whole entire program, to not give up ever. Those are some of the pieces that we add layers into it in the club. Candace, you have players that are entering and are in that competitive stage now. They know what they want. They play with a certain purpose. And the results become more and more into play. Playing time most likely becomes more important. You have Sarge sitting next to you, a great person to ask some questions to about playing time, about roster sizes. What are some of the things that parents could ask a coach? And actually, we might as well just ask the coach. We have him right here.
Yeah, so I know certainly ones that I ask around tryouts and that you hear very often from parents are just around those exact things, right? Roster size is something you absolutely want to understand, right? Like a team that's drafting 15 versus 22, right? That's a very different style of what your child will be experiencing. So, what are your thoughts behind that?
Evan, you can maybe jump in as well at some point, but roster size for us in particular, generally we have a guideline of, somewhere between certain numbers. We don't want kids just sitting for, 75, 80, 90% of games week in, week out. We understand that specifically for me, at times there might be games where some kids don't play as much, but during other games they'll play a ton. So I think it's just for parents especially finding a fit that's going to give them time, whether it be, hey, maybe we can double roster, play on the B team, get additional minutes to supplement, what you're getting on the A team. Maybe it's you do sit a couple of bigger games, but you're playing a ton of minutes elsewhere and through the season that, it kind of evens itself out. Playing time's always a conversation around tryouts. I think it's important for coaches as you're going in and signing people to let them know, hey, just so you know, I'm looking for you to maybe play 10, 15 minutes here or there, and then sit in games 50, 60, 70 minutes here or there. So I think it has to be an open conversation that players aren't shell-shocked when they're 3 months in and they've seen this field for 25 minutes in total. So.
Right. I think it's so important for parents to, or for children to be able to play on the field in order to be able to grow, right? Like in real games. But I'll just say from a parent perspective, I think one thing that we do see a lot is I've seen coaches have those exact conversations with people, right? Right when you're at the tryout level and you're talking about if your kid is going to go up to this team or if it's better for them to stay at that team. And yeah, it's great when they can double roster and get the best of both worlds. But I think as parents, we have to try to actually listen in those moments when the coach is recommending one versus the other, because I think what we hear is like, if I can just get my kid onto that next level team, then they'll show them, and that'll all change. And then,
sure. Go ahead.
I've
had a couple of situations or meetings with people at tryouts and said, hey, listen, right now, the best thing is to stay and play every minute for, the second team, whatever you want to call it. They'll be much more suited the year after of playing every minute to step back up and actually start competing to start for us. And sometimes it goes the right way, and you see after a year or so that they come up and they say, hey, that was the best decision we made. And some people, no, we want to be on an A team or whatever they want to call it. And I think people need to listen to the kids a little bit more about taking their own emotions out of it and looking at what the kid wants. And if they're happy and they're playing, then possibly down the line it's going to make more sense for them and competitively in the future.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I'm as a director of coaching, and I deal with a lot of this, coming up and throughout the season. And the key is, I always say to every coach, first and foremost, if you take on a player, you've taken on a responsibility to provide it opportunity, to provide it, growth, to provide it the same respect. If it's the bottom player versus the top player, it should never feel that way. Now, that doesn't mean equal playing time. That has nothing to do with it. But it talks about, and it certainly puts responsibility on a coach to, when you take on a player, you have the responsibility to work with that player in its best possible way, but you also see potential in that player. You see something that this player can become. And that's our work, right? We want to work hard on making players better. That's ultimately what our goal is as a coach. Yes, we want to win games, but it's the players, that the legacy that they leave behind, that trophies can't follow. A trophy will sit somewhere, but what we can do to a child is much different. And with that said, with the playing time issue, it's one that to continue, quite honestly, and we will continue that conversation right after our break.
Now Worrell has a good cutback from him. He'll fire one, and that's going to go in!
Hey, give me some of it. Okay, all right, I'm going. The Journey, the Tilton Girls, take one.
My favorite moments ever as a father was the moment she made the A team.
They would always push me and my friends as well.
Their authenticity and integrity that they were able to do everything with.
I still struggle with a little bit, just like the confidence, like knowing that I'm in a different environment.
I could not be more proud of you, Justice, and of you, Remini.
We're gonna be a roast here.
No, it's not a roast.
And it was hard. Don't tell anybody that.
And action.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75. Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Base Camp Fitness Troy, opening up this March, will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn, all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founder's rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Base Camp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan.
And we are back at Michigan Stars Elite Podcast, episode 2, provided by Michigan Soccer Network. We continue our conversation about tryouts, preparation, and ultimately why Michigan Stars Elite could be your next destination. We are talking about playing time. That's where we left off in our previous segment. And playing time will always be something that's very important and dear to coaches and parents. I think what I took away from the conversation was honest conversation needs to happen between the parents and between the coach. We're talking about sometimes the roster sizes that as we get older increase and for different reasons. But it's also important to recognize that playing time is not always a constant throughout the season. It might change depending on certain circumstances. We're talking about potential growth suddenly, like, somebody growth 2 inches in 3 months and what it will do to the playing ability. Talk about injuries and coming back from an injury. So some of this affects playing time. And Sarge, you've seen some of this happening. What kind of conversations are happening then with parents when you see a player, a dramatic change in playing time, and what the reasons could be for that? How would you approach that?
I mean, there's a ton of different reasons, right? For example, I've got one kid that on one of my boys' teams that is super creative, can break teams down, but sometimes, if we're playing against a team that has got us under pressure, is pinned us in, that kid's not going to play much that day, because the kid who works his socks off and hunts and pressures and doesn't stop running and chases, his mark back, that kid's going to play a lot. And then when we're playing against someone that maybe we're better than, or, we're dominating a little bit, but we just can't seem to break the deadlock, then that kid will play a ton that game because he's creative and he can open things up and unlock doors. So, yeah, it's more just about communicating, depending on the age, with the kid or with the parent. Say, hey, listen, it's a big day. Maybe he doesn't play much today because the kid doesn't like to defend, or, hey, he's going to play a ton today because he can unlock something for us. So, yeah, like you said, communication's key. Obviously, you're always talking to the boys. I think it's important that you make sure, parents are on the same page so they're not confused that, hey, little Johnny hasn't got on the whole half. What's going on? So, like, yeah, as you said, communication key. Talking to players, talking to parents. Players generally get it because you talk to them on a daily basis, but parents sometimes need to just be clued in as well.
Yeah, and Candace, you have 2 children that have been on the field, but also on the bench, I'm sure, and at moments maybe even more on the bench than playing. It could be different scenarios. How have you experienced that, and what questions do you have maybe even for us so we can be more aware of how we have to deal with circumstances like that?
Yeah, so certainly throughout the years. So my boys started out actually playing football before they jumped over into soccer.
Then they get smart and start playing soccer.
And when we kind of got to the tackle age is kind of when we started pivoting over to soccer because they wanted to play tackle, and I wanted to maybe preserve their brains a little bit longer. And so when we pivoted over, right, they came in at a level that they weren't those kids that were playing at those super young ages, right? And so there was something to learn. That they've always played on the playground, right? Like they had a working knowledge, but they had to earn that playing time and prove their places on these teams. And I completely agree with what you're saying, Sarge. I think it resonates around it's a toolkit, right? That team is a toolkit. At least that's what I've experienced. And so when your kid isn't playing maybe this time, but they were playing last time, you can understand like just what you said. There's different attributes, and when you're against a really aggressive team versus, and so I think it's important from a parent perspective to remember. And that communication is so critical because when we don't hear something, right, or you hear, again, my kids are at that age where, yes, they should be going to the coach and understanding it themselves, but they're not great at communicating that certainly back to me. I might get 2 words, right? And so parents start filling in the blanks when they don't know. And that can start to create a level of they're creating a narrative that isn't even true, right? And it's so important, I think, to have that communication and then to be positive for your child, because you see that so often too, where the parent gets so angry that their child isn't getting the time that they need, and there isn't really that understanding, and so that starts to feed into the child. And like you said, the kid may understand it, but if they hear their parent complaining about it all the time, right, that's a different thing. So just something to think about for supporting your child and hopefully trusting the coach.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think trusting the coach is something that that's a must. That makes things work, right? If you can't trust your coach, then we will never have that relationship, and certainly never be able to really get the best out of your son, because it sets itself up. You know, it gets different messages, and the coach doesn't know, and he doesn't like you. Those things are happening, and then it starts living into the head of a child, and then becomes harder for us as coaches as well. So we need to have that conversation. I would like to believe that at Michigan Stars Elite, the platform and our intent is to be open for those conversations, and our coaching staff to be willing to take that on. But again, the more we can get out before you are deciding to be part of a team, the more we can get that honesty out there, and the questions that parents have and ask those questions, the easier it will be most likely to avoid some of these issues that you see on the field when you go through the season. So transparency is big. With that said, you know, we're leading into really to tryout sections and open houses, because it's impossible for a coach to make an assessment come tryout time, tryout day, when, let's say, there's a new player coming in into the club. So the open houses are coming up, right? Like many other clubs have, June 5th and the 9th. And Sarge, the open house and the importance of seeing players. What is the best advice you can give to somebody that wants to be part of our club? And what are you going to help them out with?
First of all, I would say do your research. Obviously, we believe we're a great place to be, but people need to, I think, talk to coaches even maybe before open house. We can have conversations at open house, but obviously generally time's limited because we're moving on to the next one or whatever it is, and maybe you can't speak to everyone that's there. Generally, we'll do a meeting, but it might not answer all the questions. So kind of do your research beforehand. Kind of get to know, what your kid's looking for, what level they're trying to play, what time commitment they're going to put in, what you're willing to financially put in, all that type of stuff, and kind of try and get those questions answered beforehand. Make sure, one, it's the right place to be, or it's a good place to be for your kid. And then when you do go, that's obviously when we're looking to obviously introduce yourself, kind of depending on age with a parent or not. Once you get to 15 or so, we want to see those kids come up and look us in the eye and shake our hand, and that impresses me always a little bit when a 15-year-old kid will come up and shake my hand and say, hey, I'm so and so, I play this position. Kind of just impresses you straight away. But little things that you need to have conversations with the coach, and they don't have to be quick, but hey, this is little Jenny, we're looking to play on an elite team or a lightning team or a revolution team. Kind of gives us an idea so that we can obviously keep an eye. But tryouts is, it's an hour and a half a day, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, Saturday, Sunday, with especially now a club this size of 60, 70 kids at times, sometimes, depending on the age group. It's tough to see everyone all weekend regularly and make the right decision. Not that we're not trying. I think some people don't think that at times, and so you didn't look at my kid or whatever, but we're trying as much as we can. So open houses are important, that we get to see 4 days or 3 days or whatever, as many as we possibly can, especially if you're looking to find a new club. Obviously the guys we've seen all year, and we've kind of got a good grasp on, so we're looking a little bit more at the newer guys when they come in through open house and tryouts. But yeah, kind of do your research, get an understanding if it's a good fit, rather than spend the open house week looking at 4 or 5 different clubs and then trying to make a decision on a tryout weekend. Could be very chaotic and builds into that anxiety that's just horrendous at this time of the year.
Perfect. And Candice, you have your players at the club, obviously. What can you tell about, what the difference maker for you, for your sons to be at this club? Why are we a destination club in your perspective and opinion?
So I think a couple points I think that differentiate Michigan Stars Elite to other clubs in the area that at least that we have experienced. The first, and even in the first podcast, I heard Dan talk about it, but there is a small club feel to this club. And I say that from a family kind of making perspective. It feels like home, right? We have a lot of great connections. We have a lot of great parents. Every club has, a variety of people, but it really does feel very small and home-like for us. And our kids feel like they belong, and they feel like they belong in the spaces, and they choose to be there even when they don't need to be there. After practice, I can't get them to leave. Those kinds of things are important to us. But at the same time, right, the thing that's unique about this club is the fact that it has large club opportunities, right? And so mixing the two together where the child can still have those relationships, and the families can, quite frankly, have those relationships with the club, with the leadership, but still have these different platforms and access, quite frankly, all the way up to the pro team, right? So I have a son that's a keeper. He was a defender for a lot of years, and he's been pivoting kind of later. And in doing it, it's been great because they have private keeper training with Elite Keeper Academy, but they also, now he has access to the pros. And so he's actually working with Tim, who's the pro keeper, right? And having ability to train directly with him. I don't know what other club is offering something like that. So it's really great to have the balance with both.
Yeah, fantastic from your end, your perspective to we don't ask parents many times what perspective they have, and this is one of the great things about this environment that is created right now, and opportunities that are there that are beyond opportunities that were there certainly before Michigan Stars Elite came. So we brought some different elements in. We're going to wrap it up here with another commercial, and we'll come back here soon.
Thank you for stopping by the Michigan Soccer Network. To not miss out on any of the action, all you have to do is simply hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified every time we bring new content or go live. Thanks for stopping by.
Don't just burn calories, torch those little suckers. Basecamp Fitness Troy, opening up this March, will help you get maximum results in half the time. Our intensity intervals of cardio and strength training will supercharge your calorie burn, all in just 35 minutes. Make sure to lock in our founders rate and claim your 2-week risk-free trial by scanning the QR code on your screen. Basecamp Fitness Troy, located at 443 East Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan.
Clubs love Ollie because it helps them manage their club and accelerate the development of their coaches and players. Every soccer club talks about their focus on development, but nobody actually measures it until now. We've developed the capability for every one of your teams to easily capture pro-level game stats in real time using a mobile phone. It's one thing at the end of the day to look up the results for your club, but how valuable would it be for directors to actually see how each team played? How well did a team possess the ball and control the game? How well did they create dangerous chances inside the box? How did your top players perform? And how is each coach improving from week to week? Ollie provides this powerful data through a club dashboard that shows club results and lets you drill down into any game or player. Ollie also includes team and club management that lets you communicate instantly with coaches, parents, and players, and lets directors see every club event so they can easily coordinate visits to matches and training sessions. It's got everything you need in one simple app. Reach out to us to get your club started today.
And welcome back at Michigan Stars Elite podcast, provided by Michigan Soccer Network. We are about to finish up this episode that was about tryouts, open houses, and Michigan Stars Elite as your destination club. Thank you so much, Sarge, for the time that you spent here and your expertise, as well as Candice from the parent perspective. and your viewpoint. Very, very valuable. So thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Not busy at all right now.
No, we're not busy at all. Thanks, Sarge. In closing, there's a lot of things that come with decision making on a family. We hope that you are making the right choice, that you are finding the club that you are happy with, that you consider Michigan Stars Elite as your new destination if you're looking for a new home, and that you continue with our club to continue your journey in soccer development. A couple household items on my end. Obviously, we have open house that is coming up, open house dates. Everything is on the website that will be mentioned shortly. We have our open house on June 5 through the 9th, like many other clubs. So it's key for you to find out where to go, which club you want to participate in open house, as it will provide you and your child the best opportunity to make a change if necessary, or to find out if there's even openings in a team. Sarge, we also have our registration that is open right now.
Yep, for tryouts.
Yeah.
June 10th.
Where can they go? Where can they go?
MichiganStarsElite.com.
So www.michiganstarselite.com. That will get you straight into how to register. The information about open house is in there as well, under the same tab, when I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then also our coaching lineup is out today. So I think from that perspective, we have information about the coaches. And thing that I want to add to that part is that we have a coaching staff that's from a perspective of teachers, people that have passion. We talked about it in our first episode. It's passionate leaders. And I'm very proud to represent them as a director of coaching. I'm very proud to work with them, and look forward to what our new season entails. Opportunities are for everybody. Make sure that you make the most of your choices, be educated, and take initiative. The other piece I can give you is take initiative in the journey for your child. Be an advocate for your own family and your child, and be honest and transparent about what you're looking for, because we as coaches are expected, number one, to do the same, and as two, we want to make sure that we're in sync with each other. Help us to make your child the success it deserves to have. And I feel strongly that we can provide all that, but it takes two to tango. And I would like to make that clear to everybody one more time. So enjoy the process, change the narrative for your son, daughter, make it a success story, but do the work that's necessary. And I hope to see you at the tryouts. Michigan Stars Elite, your destination.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.